Welcome back to Prudence Coaching. Hello students, I hope all of you are very well. Today we have made this video on your request. So let's discuss this topic. Today we are going to discuss about one of the most interesting topic in your English language paper, that is composition writing. In this video we will tell you those keywords which must be in your composition for scoring full marks. Apart from this, we are also going to help you with this practice set and separate approach for writing composition. So let's discuss this. And I assure you that if you follow these steps, there no one is going to beat you in composition writing. So our today's topic is about composition writing. First of all, we will know what is composition. This will help you to know a little bit about composition writing. Next, there is major characteristics of an excellent composition. After discussing and knowing these facts, you will be able to sum up all the major characteristics in your composition. Next, there is number 3, that is major suggestions for drafting and concluding composition. If you follow this suggestion, then certainly you are going to improve your writing skill. Number 4 is different types of composition with a specific approach for writing. Yes student, that is the most important points for you, and here you will know about all the types of compositions and you can choose your type of composition. That means students, we have to choose the composition according to our personality. Yes students, if you are a very good person with a good imagination, then you can choose the descriptive composition, and there are other compositions such as narrative composition, argumentative composition, short story picture composition. So we'll discuss about all these and we'll give you the specific methods of writing this composition so that you can score the highest marks according to your merit. Number 5 is most important questions for practice. Yes students, not only will discuss about these important topics, but also we will provide you the most important questions which will enable or enhance your practice skill. Next, we are going to give you some keywords which will help you in writing your composition. So let's discuss this. So as I promised, here it is. Number 1 is, what is a composition? The word composition comes from the Latin componere. It means put together, and its meaning remains close to this. Now we are going to discuss about the definition of composition. A composition is the way a writer assembles words and sentences to create a coherent and meaningful work. That means students, you have to assemble or assimilate all your thoughts into some paragraphs so that these paragraphs or these sentences can express a lot of things about this topic, and this must be informative as well, and it must have a meaningful sense as well, so that the reader can be impressed in a very interesting way. So let's discuss about the other things of composition writing. Now we are going to discuss about the major characteristics of a good composition. So a good composition, in order to be good, needs to be essentially innovative and brilliant. Yes students, you have to be innovative, you have to become innovative in your writing, you have to give stress on some extraordinary facts that will attract the reader's attention, and it will give you full marks in your exam. Number 2, a good composition must have the following characters. So now we are going to discuss about this characteristics of a good composition. Number 1 here is variety and interest. Yes students, in your writing must be full of several things. That means there you not only sticking to on a particular thing, but also you are giving or you are providing a lot of information about your topic, so that the reader can read it with some best interest. Next, there is coherence. Coherence means it is a quality which assimilates the thoughts of your paragraph. Next, there is completeness, unity. All these are for making your paragraph meaningful and connected to each other. And next points, harmony, integrity, must be there, so that the thoughts or the arrangements must be in a proper order. Then it is followed by innovation and originality. Innovation means you have to give stress on some innovative points, or you have to be innovative so that the reader can find it hopeful or very interesting, or so that the reader can make a difference. Your writing can understand your writing that is quite different, quite little innovative from others. That means I mean to say, students, if your writing is innovative means if your writing is assimilated with some extraordinary facts that other students have not written, then certainly it will attract the reader's attention, and the examiner will be impressed after looking at your writing, and certainly he is going to give you the full marks. Next point is very much important, that is originality. Students, this is important for while you are writing a short story. While you are writing a short story, then the story must be original, or it is not copied from others, and it must be based on the present tense or the present facts that has happened before some days ago or recently. You should not, or you are not advised to copy from others. That means your story must be original or fit to your age. Yes, students, suppose you are writing a short story and you have written it as an adult man, that means as a poet, or as a 24-year-old man, or something like that, 55-year-old man. So it would be very odd. So I mean to say that, students, if you write some composition which is suitable for your age and can be written in your age only, so that would be the original thing, I believe. So you have to maintain the originality in your writing. Otherwise, if you write something that is not suitable for your age, then probably the reader will not be impressed, because originality is the only one thing which is being asked in your short story. So be careful, while you are writing a short story, you must have to write it original and don't try to copy it from others. Be innovative, be imaginative, so that your composition must be good at all. Next, there is the major suggestions. Yes, students, number one is choose the question very smartly. Students, everything depends on choosing the question. Before writing a composition, it's very important point to choose the question very smartly. Before the beginning of the question, you will get 15 minutes in which you have to decide which composition you are going to write, and after that make a brief chart or make the points that you are going to use in your writing. So this is very much important, that choose the question very smartly. Next, there is never cross the word limit. Students, in your composition writing, there must be 350 to 360 words. That means you are not advised to cross the word limit. Yes, students, you have to maintain the word limit must. If you cross the word limit, the reader will not read it a full, and then he will deduct your marks. He may or may not, but you are advised not to cross the word limit. Next, there is avoid using confusing facts and elephant information. That means, students, those are argumentative facts, those are confusing facts, you have to avoid this, otherwise it will become controversial, and we have to avoid these controversial topics. Next, there is avoid grammatical mistakes. It is one of the most important facts that most students are doing in their writing. So you have to become a smart writer, and you are not going to make the grammatical mistakes. So for this you have to practice a lot, otherwise you will not be able to avoid these grammatical mistakes while writing very fast. Next, there is check your spellings or pronunciations. Actually, pronunciation is not necessary in your writing, but it plays a pivotal role while you are unable to write or writing a complex word. So students, check your spellings after completing your writing. Next, there is the objective must be logical and rational. That means, students, don't write any illogical facts and don't become irrational in your writing. Next, there is make sure that your competition is legible. That means the thing that you are giving, sorry, this is not competition, this is composition. So make sure that your composition is legible. Legible means it is acceptable facts. That means the facts that you are providing is acceptable to everybody. Next, there is make maintain the originality of your writing. So as I mentioned, you have to maintain the originality. Don't try to copy from others, and if you are copying something, then copy it smartly so that others cannot catch it that you are copying it or you are not writing in an original form. Next, there is provide at least 5 to 6 points. Yes students, when you are writing, you must have to gather 5 to 6 facts, and you have to elaborate those facts in a brief way, so that the reader can understand that you have provided more or less 5 to 6 points. And in our checking procedure as well, the examiner gives stress on this point. So as much as point will be there, the examiner will be able to give you more marks. And next point is most important, that is practice as much as you can at your home. Yes students, it is said that practice makes a man perfect. So if you don't practice, there will be lots of mistake while you are writing for the first time. So practice as much as you can. Read other compositions so that it can improve your sense. Read the newspapers so that you can actually become a smart writer. Yes students, reading newspaper is very much important for those students who are not comfortable in English. If you are not comfortable in English, then read the newspapers. It will obviously give you a basic idea about how to assemble or how to form a sentence. Now next we are going to discuss about the types of composition. Students, comparison, sorry, this is not comparison, this is composition. So this composition is mainly of 5 kinds. They are descriptive, narrative, argumentative, short story, and picture composition. Now we are going to discuss about all these 5 types and its separate approach for writing. Now first thing is descriptive composition. What is descriptive composition? Descriptive composition is all about describing a place, person, object, or a hobby. Now as you can see, this is the question which is describing this descriptive composition. That means this question will tell you what is a descriptive composition, and from this question you will be able to distinguish in between descriptive composition and the other composition. Here the question says describe your experience of the happiest day of your life. So this is one of the most important question that you need to practice at home. Now we are going to learn that descriptive composition, that as I already told you, that is about describing a place, person, object, or a hobby. Now we will discuss about the major points or the approach that must be followed while writing a descriptive composition. That is, number 1, jot down the points that come to your mind when you think of the topic. This step will be helpful when you actually start writing the composition. So when you are writing or when you are looking at the question for the first time, try to make a brief chart, try to make a brief list of the points that you are going to use while writing your composition or while drafting your composition. Next point is, make sure you choose words that would describe the situation the best. This will include using figurative language and a lot of adjectives and specific verbs. You can also use similes and metaphors to make the essay effective. So students, while you are writing a descriptive composition, if you can use these similes and metaphors, and if you are maintaining a figurative language, and will choosing a specific groups of verbs in your writing, and giving a lots of adjectives in your writing, then probably it will enhance your skill, and it will also make it clear that you are a very good writer. And after looking at this, the examiner will be impressed and he will be going to give you the full marks. Now next point is, make sure that the examiner can relate and understand the description without any problems. This is one of the important point, that your writing must be legible. That means acceptable to the facts according to the topic. Don't write anything that is not relevant to the topic. Only write the relevant things which are related or connected to your topic. Next is, avoid rambling and repeating things in essay or your composition when you are describing something. So students, when you are describing a particular topic, don't just ramble or don't just repeat the things. this is your common habit. Most of the students who are weak in English, they just repeat some phrases and some sentences in their composition to make it long. But students, don't do this. Reader is very much intelligent and he is much efficient as well. So if you try to befool the examiner by repeating some sentences, repeating some phrases, then he will understand it without any delay and certainly deduct your marks. So it is one of the most important points, that don't repeat the phrases, don't repeat the sentences, and don't just rumble. Suppose you are discussing about a boy, and don't just start make the discussion about the woman and some other thing as well. So I mean to say that don't just ramble while you are describing something in your writing. Try to present an organized and logical description. So you have to be logical while you are writing. Don't just make your writing a fantasy. Okay, next there is, never forget the goal of writing the essay and make sure the essay is precise in detail. That means students, it is also affected, it is also useful while writing a composition, that you have to choose the goal for which purpose you are writing. So if you are writing for a particular topic, stick to the goal and try to describe this goal in several way, but don't just ramble while you are writing. So, and you have to make it clear that your writing is very precise and not very long, not very short. That means you have to maintain the word limit as well. Next, we are going to discuss about the important questions about the descriptive composition. Number one, imagine you are a good athlete. Describe your feelings after winning the first prize in the 400 meters run. So, as you have seen this question, try to make a brief chart of the points that you are going to use in your writing, or make a draft of your composition, then try to describe these points while you are writing. Next question is, recently a minister has visited your school as a chief guest of the annual function. Write an article for your school magazine describing his visit. So students, I hope you have understood the question very well. So you have to practice this type of descriptive composition while you are writing a composition. Next, there is narrative composition. Narrative composition may deal directly with first person narration or with a flashback of the past. That means students, a narrative composition always deal with the first person narration. Means here we use the first person description, and then it can be any flashback. Flashback means reminiscence of the past as well. That means you are recapitulating any past memory as well. So the major points that must be followed while writing narrative composition, those are: number one, don't indulge into moral preaching or baseless statement. So your writing must be logical, as I mentioned already, and don't become a political guru, or don't try to act any other political gurus or any other spiritual leaders, and don't try to just giving any kinds of moral advices all the time. Okay, and you have to avoid the baseless statements as well while writing a composition, that is narrative composition. Next, there is, use the past tense to describe a past incident. Use the present tense to state a present situation or simplistic futurity. Student, this is very much important for narrative composition. While you are framing a narrative composition, you have to use the past tense while you are giving a description about any past fact or past incident, and while you are giving some present situation, giving the description about some present incidents or the upcoming future, then you can use the present tense. So this is very much important for your narrative composition. Next point says about the second person narrative. So as I told you, you have to describe in a first person narration. Next, there is, write nothing beyond your own experience. Students, don't try to make your narration, make your description too long for the reader. You have to write everything according to your own experience. Don't share others experience. That means you cannot write from any other's perspective. You have to use your own imagination, your own experience while you are framing a narrative composition. Next, there is, in your writing there should have clarity. Clarity means there, the points must be clear and fixed to the fact, and must be suitable to the fact that you are giving. Complex word syntax are a hindrance to the clarity, so it should be avoided. So don't use any complex sentence, complex facts or complex words. It is not suitable for your writing. Next, we are going to discuss about the narrative composition, the questions of narrative composition. So students, these questions are very important for narrative composition. Practice this well. Number one is, you went on a trip to the Sundarbans in a launch. Narrate your experience in detail. So this is one of the beautiful narrative composition that can be possible for you. Next, there is narrate your experience. This is capital N. Narrate your experience when you were left alone in the house to look after your 5-year-old brother. So about this question, it is clear that you were the only one who were left alone in the house for some reason, and there were your 5-year-old brother. So you have to narrate the fact, you have to share your own experience, how did you feel and what are the problems that you faced there, how did you overcome those. So you have to give this narration or description. Next is argumentative composition. This is the logical composition. It is based on logic. One has to make clear whether one is speaking for or against the statement, for or against the statement. In this type of composition, the matter should be based on solid logic, not emotional outburst. So student, this argumentative composition is quite tough, and it's very best for those who likes to discuss, who likes to argue on a particular topic. Yes students, this is one of the toughest composition, and those students who are very weak in English, I would suggest that, this is my personal suggestion, you don't attempt this type of argumentative composition, because in this composition you have to provide the solid logic. Okay, so if you are very much comfortable about the topic, then you can go ahead with the argumentative composition. But if you find it is not suitable for you, don't attempt this type of argumentative composition. And one thing is very clear, if you can answer this argumentative composition in a very apt way, in a very beautiful way, then certainly you will get some extra grace marks, or you will get the full marks very easily. But this is very tough composition. If you are very much comfortable in English, if you are very much imaginative, then you can, and if you are very much logical as well, if you are very much logical, then attempt this type of argumentative composition. This is very innovative type of composition. You can get full marks here very easily. The major points or the approach that you should do follow while writing an argumentative composition, those are: in the beginning, argumentative composition, mention whether you are writing in support or against the statement. Yes students, this is very much important. So while you are attempting or writing an argumentative composition, you have to write at the beginning of your writing, after the title, that while you are writing for the statement or against the statement. That means you have to mention for the statement or against the statement. If you are writing in support, then mention for the statement. If you are writing against the statement, then you can mention against the statement. Okay, so that's the major important point while you are writing an argumentative composition. Next, there is maintain a solid logical structure. Yes students, you have to be logical from each and every aspect in your composition, because this is your argumentative composition. Next, there is, your writing should not contain any biased view or be freed from any social or political influence. Yes students, don't just discuss any kinds of political topics which are not very clear and which are not biased. Okay, so if you use some free points and some points or social or political points which are being accepted by everyone, that's pretty good. But don't discuss these kinds of political or social matters which are very controversial about these topics. Next, there is, the first paragraph of your essay should outline the topic, provide background information necessary to understand your argument, outline the evidence you will present, and states your thesis. So in the first paragraph, you have to give a brief details about the point or about the topic which you are using in your writing. That means in the first paragraph, in the first line, you have to make it very clear whether you are writing in support or against the topic, and you have to maintain some outlines of your writing, of your argument, so that it must be suitable for your writing and it must be interesting for the reader as well. Next, there is, don't forget to add the conclusion to your writing. It will be good appeal to the reader's emotions. Yes students, for about this argumentative composition, conclusion plays a very important role. Don't forget to mention a conclusion of your writing, and in this conclusion you have to share your own experience, you have to share your own thoughts about this particular topic, about this particular argument. It will play a major role in attracting the reader's attention, and if once the reader find your writing is very much different from others, surely he is going to give you the full marks, there is no doubt. Next we are going to discuss about some argumentative composition which are important for your exam as well. Yoga is the best way to keep fit. Express your views for or against the statement. So while you are writing the question, you have to make a brief chart of this composition and at least prepare 4 to 6 points which will express your thoughts, express your experience about this particular topic and can relate to the argument as well. Next, that is poverty is the cause of all social evils. Write your views either for or against this statement. So poverty is one of the social evils, we are everyone is aware of this topic, so you have to just elaborate these facts, sharing your own thoughts and own thinking as well. So this is the argumentative composition. You can write either for, that means you can write either in support or against the statement, but mention it in the beginning of your writing. And don't forget to mention the title of your composition as well, it is also important for your writing. And if you can write according to this information which I am giving you, surely you will get full marks, there is no doubt. Next there is short story. Yes student, this is very much interesting topic for your composition writing. If you attempt short story, there is 99% chance that you are going to get full marks, because short story must be innovative and must be about the living characters, and you are familiar with several short stories, but try to maintain the originality. Now we'll know about what is short story. While writing a short story, one has to create a characters such as living and non-living plot, incidents, etc. So while you are writing a short story, try to create 4 or 5 characters, or those are suitable according to your topic. So the characters must be living or about any non-living plot or incidents. You have to use the name of the characters which are not in common or which are not able to find in the daily life. That means students, while you are writing a short story, you must have to maintain a brief character list, and you have to maintain their characters, you have to maintain their personality as well in your writing. But the most important thing that you have to maintain the originality, students. Yes students, note your story must be original. Don't write any kinds of fictional short stories. Yes students, I already discussed it and you know it better. Now I'll discuss the major approach for short story. Number 1, suspense, then there will be a comma, suspense, surprise, thrill, imagination, etc. the key factors to a successful short story. So students, while you're writing a short story, you have to create or generate the suspense and the surprise or the thrill or the imagination in your writing, so that it become interesting in your writing. A dramatic conclusion makes a story interesting, so you have to provide a conclusion for your story as well for your composition. Simple way of presentation is also important. You have to be simple, don't make any complex facts, don't try to just make the reader confused about the particular thing. So your presentation must be simple so that everybody can understand it in a very good way. Your story must be original in its form. Try to make a short story of your own. So student, don't try to copy from others, just make your own short story and stick to the originality. Now we are going to be giving you the most important question for practice, that is number 1, pride comes before a fall. Write an original short story that brings out the truth of the thesis statement. So this is a line, and you have to maintain the originality of your story, and you have to maintain the originality of your story while you are elaborating or describing these points. Next, there is write an original short story that begins with the words, in the background I could hear men and women screaming. So while you are writing this short story, you have to write these words in the beginning of your writing. Next, we are going to discuss about picture composition. So first of all, we will know what is picture composition. While writing a picture composition, a picture is provided based on which one has to write a story or a description or what picture suggests. But there must be a clear connection between the picture and the story of the description. So students, while you are writing a picture composition, you have to create your own story and you have to relate the facts that are being given in the picture, but the Picture composition may be able to describe the facts which are being mentioned in the story, and it must be original in the form as well. And as you know, picture composition is not very tough, but most of the teachers and I also would like to suggest that don't attempt picture composition if the description in the answer script of the examiner is totally different from your description. Then you are not going to give the marks, and it is possible that you can get 0 as well. So try to maintain the originality in your writing. And picture composition is very easy, but don't write it in your exam. It may not give you the full marks. Major points that you should know about the picture composition: number 1, logical connection between the given picture and the matter produced. You have to provide the logical connection between the picture and the matter that is being given in the picture. Skillful presentation through an interesting narrative technique is required. You have to represent the facts which are being shown in the picture in a very skillful way, so that it becomes interesting and very innovative for the reader. Now we have given you these 2 points. Students, you can see in the first picture there is this is the picture of a brick kiln, and here the child labor are working. So that means you can make it very clear that child labor are working here. You have to provide the pros and cons of this child labor act, and you can mention your own views, your own thoughts. You can share your own experience for this. And next there is, you can see students are planting trees. That means here tree plantation is going on. So you have to elaborate your sense of writing. You have to practice this picture composition so that you can improve your skill as well. So within this half an hour we have given you each and every aspects of framing a good and excellent picture composition and other composition as well. So students, I can assure you, if you follow these points, certainly you are going to get the full marks. So now this is our last request, students. If you have been benefited at least a little bit from this video, don't forget to subscribe our channel and don't forget to like our videos. It's your little effort is our best impression, and we will be impressed if you just make a comment, and we will be able to know your doubts. We will be able to solve your problems after looking at the comments as well. So don't forget to comment and like our videos, and thanks for watching our videos. Have a nice day. Keep preparing and keep practicing. Your practice will make you certainly the best student in your career as well. So have a nice day. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.